Hi, welcome to Culture Shot. I've been thinking a lot lately about competition and about what it all means. I'm starting to see more competitors in my marketplace, so I figure my success in the future is probably in part going to be at least dependent on how I react to that. And on top of that, I'm increasingly troubled by what I perceive to be a zero-sum game mentality emerging in the world, in business, but in particular in politics lately. The idea being that in order for me to win, somebody else has to lose. And I'm here right now at the South African Museum of Military History, surrounded by the tools of the zero-sum game mentality. I mean, weapons that were developed specifically to help us win, and in the process to ensure somebody else loses. So I thought it was an appropriate sort of place to have this competition. It's quiet at the moment. There's nobody here. Usually we'll have school kids running around, but it's a bit chilly, so I've got it all to myself. So nice and quiet while I contemplate this idea amongst tanks and jets, go figure. But here's the thing, that as I was thinking about this, I was reminded of a story that I thought was particularly relevant about the return to Apple of Steve Jobs in 1997, and how one of the things that has enabled that company to go from what was almost a bankrupt organization, I mean one that was certainly struggling and had struggled for 15 years prior to his return, into one that is approaching $1 trillion market capitalization. If its share goes up a little bit more, in the next few weeks, it could easily achieve $1 trillion in market capitalization. I mean, it's a remarkable turnaround. But part of the reason that it managed to get there is simply because in 1997, Jobs let go of a zero-sum game mentality. Up until that point, they'd always operated on the principle that in order for Apple to win, Microsoft had to lose. And in fact, he specifically said that. I got the guys here to print this out for me, because there's a specific quote that I want to share with you from his Macworld address on his return in 1997. He said, "If we want to move forward and see Apple healthy and prospering again, we have to let go of a few things here. We have to let go of this notion that for Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose. We have to embrace the notion that for Apple to win, Apple has to do a really good job." Now, that may sound rather obvious, but here's an interesting thing. They didn't get that until that point, and I think a lot of other businesses aren't getting it either. We say, as corporate leaders, as business leaders, we say things like competition's good, and we say that because we think it makes us sound pithy, I think, rather than anything else, because I don't believe half of us even mean that. We'd far rather have the world all to ourselves, so we can just do whatever we want. This notion that we're going to be dictated to by competition or by customers or something is something of a pain. But the funny thing is, when you get an organization like Apple, like it did that about face in 1997, and when you find other organizations that are very focused on doing things right rather than focusing on competitors, that are focused on winning the competition by being excellent rather than being, the most Machiavellian, what you find is the world's great organizations. And I defy you to point one out to me that isn't so. Most organizations, I think, that get this stuff right do so because they're focused on doing really, really good things rather than on beating somebody else. And I guess that's the spirit, that's the essence of great competition. And I think that's maybe something that we could all stand to reflect on a little bit more in the weeks and months ahead. I'd love to see this zero-sum game mentality in the dustbin of history. I really would. It troubles me. It's food for thought for me. I hope it's food for thought for you as well. Have a great week.